Aloha all. This is podcast 46. This is Samana with Unconventional Insights. Okay, so the summer is here. I'm very excited. I do love this time of year. I am a sun goddess. I've always been solar powered. And we have sun and wonderful things, and we're trying to open up our economy a bit and figure things out. Hopefully, you're all doing your social distancing. Or if you're hanging with friends, at least keep 3 feet in there. At least do some things. Find your way of what works for you, right? Like this reminds me, I was counseling a client the other day, and she said she was invited to this gathering on the beach, and everyone's hugging her, and there was no social distancing and all these things, and it reminded me, like, wait, this is the same thing. It's just a new subject matter of do we wear condoms when you're on first dates, or are you uncomfortable with that? How do you tell someone your needs when there's these circumstances that the rest of society has other needs, or makes you feel uncomfortable that you're the only one that has these needs? So everything I ever talk about is about how to notice what our needs are and get those filled. But this is interesting that this is now coming up with the whole new phenomena that, do you have the courage to say, I'd rather not hug or elbow bump, or I don't want to be the one out of the crowd, or what's your comfort level? If you're sick, stay home. If you start coughing, if you have any symptoms, just pull back from people, be consciously, socially responsible. Okay, but that's not what this podcast is about. This one has a little more spice to it. We're now in Gemini, moon's in Libra today. So we're doing this on relationship. Attracting the ideal relationship is the name of this podcast. So I've talked to a couple of very good friends that inspired this, as well as in clients. This is always coming up because I deal with self-care tools and relationships, one and the same. So my one friend was saying, so she's looking to date. She was married for a long time, and she's saying, the universe is conspiring against me. I keep getting these mixed messages, and things just aren't panning out with these dates I'm going on. And I said, I'm not saying I don't believe in the universe and its influences, but you are the universe, and this is about, be clear. When you're clear inside, your world outside is clear. Whatever is happening inside is going to be reflected outside. So I told her, in the little time that I heard her, I was hearing, I just want to meet someone and have fun and have sex. And I also heard all these reasons why something was wrong with this guy. And I said, wait a minute. Now, are you looking for someone to have fun and have sex with, or are you looking for a life partner? Because you cannot have that much of a filter, that much of a specific request in someone if you just want to go have a glass of wine with them and maybe make out a little bit. But if this is someone that you're considering long term, then yes, we do have our red flags, our yellow flags, our checklist. So which one is it? When you can figure out, are you looking for casual and fun, or are you looking for long term? I guarantee you'll start creating that in front of you, men or women. I hear this all the time. And we could have, so this is another thing I want to remind you. All the times, my girlfriends that just couldn't make anything happen. So let's say we are looking for long term. You still don't want to go out on that coffee date or that first date with this checklist, this high expectation where it's not breathable and you'll scare whoever away because it's exhausting. You always want to be curious and listen and see who this person is in front of you. And then when you walk away from that date, how do you feel? Do you feel drained? Did you feel heard? Was it exciting? Do you have more energy because there was like a mutual energetic, that was a flow? Like, what was happening from it? So these are things to keep doing that little check-in. when you're clear about what you want. So you start out light, and then third date, fourth date, you start adding some things in. I'm going to give you an exercise to do here with someone. Even someone you're looking for long term, and how we do that. Start out light and drop all those expectations and those judgments and that little box that they have to fit in. See who they are, because this is the bottom line that I tell everybody, even when I counsel people. If you are not happy in the relationship that you have now, it is because you have not yet achieved inside yourself and outside of yourself what you're looking for. So, do not try to hold someone to standards that sometimes you're not certain even work for you now, okay? So, I know that's strange, but anyways. Another friend of mine who's been divorced for a while has said, oh no, I don't want to date. I can't deal with all that. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? I can't deal with all that. I hear this commonly from everyone too. Oh no. And I'm like, listen, it's not, nobody in their right mind will ever say, I want to go out on a date and meet someone that was just like my ex-husband because I know how to handle that. He might be an asshole, but I'm used to that. So I'll know just how to deal with this. No one's ever going to say that. We actually want something new. And the only way we could do that is for us to be new inside. So let's get back to this. Be clear with what your needs are first, and then what you want out of a relationship. There are so many choices and specifics that need to be made aware of to yourself before you can attract your ideal. If you're already in a relationship and you're feeling distant, or you're contemplating, is this relationship worth saving? Before you bail, please first do this exercise. Now, all these exercises that I give you when I counsel you, if you're one-on-one with me, or any workshops we've done, or our Zoom meetups, or my podcasts, I come up with these things on the fly because I see the need that's happening in whatever conversations are going around me through counseling or friends, and then I come up with questions because the questions are the journey, right? So here's your journey. This is the exercise. Get a piece of paper out and write my needs that need to be fulfilled to be happy. Just write those out, all of them. Your needs, not your wants. This is what needs to happen for me to be happy. That might take you a month to figure that out because a lot of people don't have a clue what their needs are, which is the first issue here, which is why you're not going to meet someone that will hear you and see you and value you, because you don't even know who you are yet and what your needs are. So first, write that on a piece of paper. What are the needs I need to be fulfilled to be happy? Second, rate them. Put them in priority of most necessary to not as important. So this is gonna happen no matter what. This is at the top of my list, and these are still needs of mine, but they're like sub-needs. The third thing I want you to do is write which of those needs you expect, allow, or prefer a partner to help you fulfill them with. I want you to write those 3 words down at the top of your paper: expect, allow, or prefer. And I want you to take a moment and reflect on how you view each of these. And this is your sweet spot to growth. If you expect, and that's written on there, and do this uncensored, no one's judging you. This is for you to really figure out what's happening inside of you. So if next to your needs you have this expect next to all of them when you have a partnership, often this is uncommunicated properly, your needs. You're not communicating them, I guarantee that. And it's also a setup for suffering, I hate to say. Expectation is a setup for suffering. So, now, if you write allow next to these needs that you've discovered, this used often shows areas of attention that could be addressed regarding old wounds and trust issues, because I'm allowing someone to help me with those needs. So maybe there are old wounds, or do I trust them? Will I allow them or not? So just watch that. That's a slippery slope there. But I want you to notice, not always, but these are, I'm just giving you the what to look for. Also, if you're writing allow a partner to help you fulfill these needs, there could be some control in there that might be the more dominant theme in your life than being present. So if I'm controlling something, if I'm going to allow or not allow, my mind has to be engaged and in control in each circumstance. Where if I'm just taking a cleansing breath and I'm present and I'm watching what's occurring in front of me, then there's not a filter or a guard at the door saying this is how it should be. And we kind of, it unfolds and we notice it. Okay, now if that last word you write prefer is your answer next to the important parts, this is you personally owning that this is important to you in relationship, and not any backstory of the disastrous way it turned out before. So, once you own and consistently reevaluate the importance of having a partner help facilitate then these needs, then you set up an appointment time with your significant other to discuss these preferences. And you say, hey, let's do this exercise together. And what's a good time? Why don't we do this for our date night? This could be fun. We'll get something to eat and drink. We'll share a meal, and we'll go over these different questions. So if we find we are clear, we attract exactly what we put out. Being both clear verbally and energetically will get you what you need. So when you're discussing these preferences, have an open mind. So if you had a rough day, or you're tight, or edgy, or none of your needs have been met in so long that you're ready to snap anyways, I would say reschedule. But hopefully you're going to do this with an open mind and a curiosity for two things. One is you want to learn what your partner really needs, because isn't that the goal, is that we help each other and support each other to get our needs met? And I'm so glad you shared that with me. Wouldn't that be a loving way to approach it? Also, you could ask them for feedback, and then you could, if this is someone you're dating or this is someone long-term, either way, this is a very good exercise to do. So what we want is we want honest feedback and reflective listening. So these are skills you may see how much of those needs that you wrote down you can personally fill, and what to extend, and to what extent your partner agrees under what conditions that you both create. So this becomes okay, I never knew this before. Is that why you'd get pissed at me? Okay, this feels good. I love knowing the rules. So hopefully the meeting, when it's time to happen, both parties come in with their list from the exercise that I described. I personally do not feel it's too soon to discuss such things if you're newly dating. I personally would do it around the third or fourth date. If someone is catching enough of your interest that you will want to see them again, and now this is the third or fourth date, I would say offer would they like to do this exercise? And I'm asking this for a couple of reasons. Because first, if this degree of relating and questioning is important to you, you will discover quickly if you have a match that will meet your needs. Is this a potential partner that will play the way you need him or her to play? Often we focus on the outside, the appearance of someone, what job they have, how much fun we had on the dates, what we did on the date, and we don't engage in enough conversations that interest both of you. Like usually one person dominates it and you're just kind of like looking at them and doing whatever. Or the conversation is one-sided, just about them, or superficial. So me personally, and I've gone out on many dates, I usually like to do more of the listening when I first meet someone. So this is for clients, for business, for friends, for dating. And what I do is I allow them to be in charge and to set the theme, and I look to see what they choose to talk about. Not how they're speaking or how lively and entertaining they are. It's what matters to them to speak about. So that gives me a lot of insight. And the second is the reason for bringing up these deeper topics and exercises early on is, do you really want to waste your valuable time if they're like, oh, I don't like that, or let's do something fun instead? Because I guarantee that will be the theme throughout your relationship until it's no longer a relationship. So a point to bring up is if you are looking to keep things light, have fun, and probably just want sex, then these questions don't matter as much. Yet, if you're looking for a long-term potential partnership, then jump in and let them see you clearly. The sooner you can show up authentically, the more fulfilling your relationship has a chance of being. So many people play this part, and it's like, how long are you going to play this what I think they want to see, or the superwoman, the superman part, and then when you're tired or stressed or whatever's happening, and then they see that first part of yourself, it's like they're like, I'm out of here, either because they have a highly judgmental vent or it's inappropriate in your behavior and you don't have skills in relating and communicating in a healthy way. So just try to be authentic and be real. Like, none of us are perfect and we're all here to learn something. I was saying to a client yesterday who was saying, well, wait a minute, I'm engaged and we don't even know how to talk. I said, nobody knows how to talk. Nobody. We're never given this manual on how to communicate properly and to everybody you've met, like how to speak where they can hear you. So now, I've also talked to people that they're like, oh, I don't want to date. I have no interest in dating, like I said before, that one friend of mine. And then I say to them, can I offer a more accurate phrase? Because I don't believe anyone doesn't want to date or doesn't want someone important in their life that they can share with and play with and grow with. And I don't believe that exists. I mean, I could be wrong. But anyways, if it feels better to reframe and say, I'm afraid of repeating past mistakes, and I do not want to experience the same problems from before. That's more accurate than I don't want to date. But nobody wants these same problems. So, I've actually told people that I've counseled where they tell me one disastrous date after another, I'm like, I honestly don't think you're ready to date. And I could tell by the speech, by the tone they use, by their thought process, that if you had a painful breakup It isn't a matter of how much time since you were with someone, and then one day you decide, okay, 3 months have passed, 4 years have passed, I'm ready to date. That's not how it works. Yet, that is how the majority of the people do it. I'm ready to jump back on the horse. Well, they're ready to jump back on the horse because they want sex or companionship, but they've done nothing. But this is like, so I've mentioned before, I've taken many people to their first AA and NA meeting. This would be equivalent to being a dry drunk, meaning you're an alcoholic, you know you're an alcoholic, you drink far too much, you have no limitation, you end up having a behavior that doesn't make you proud, so you decide one day, I'm going to quit drinking. You quit drinking, but you do nothing. You don't go to meetings, you don't have a support system, you don't have anything healthy to replace that with. So there's no effective plan of change towards getting healthier. You just stop drinking. That is beyond pain. So here you are, you've suffered, you've cried, you've gotten bitter, the dust has grown over you, and now you're like, I'm ready to get back out there, but you haven't done anything. Don't be a dry drunk. Do your work. So it's not about time. It's about how much have you owned your part of the breakup. Did you go into counseling? Until you do your own work, you will only attract a new face with the same issues. And strangely enough, I've met so many of my friends and people that they show me the new person they're dating, and I'm like, looks so much like the old one. So many times they even look the same because they have a type. Their subconscious has this type. I want this body, this look, this hair, this height. I guarantee if they look alike or not from your ex, they're going to be the same person as your ex. Why? Because you haven't changed. So your insides haven't changed, so your outside attraction is not going to change. My second marriage, we did so much therapy. We actually had 4 counselors. Then I realized one day this was a waste of time. Yes, he would willingly go to couples therapy, but I would feel that each session he would be so brilliant in his mind that he would manipulate the therapists where he appeared to say and do everything right, and I was the screwed up one. And this would infuriate me. And this was 4 therapists, and you'd think those therapists weren't that good because they should have stopped that. The one did stop it and say he didn't want to see us anymore because he saw that's what was happening. I didn't have the ability or the courage at the time to know how to navigate that, and apparently he, my ex, was far too powerful to have any space to allow anyone, any therapist or anyone in there with their opinion. So that wasn't going to happen. He went in like a steel box. Anyway, so I realized couples counseling is a waste of time, and I said, you know what, I'm going to just do some counseling on my own because I hear you in these sessions, and yes, I have a lot to work on. That's how I handled it. I started doing a lot of counseling, learning a lot about my issues, realizing that it wasn't just with him. A lot of this stuff happened a long time ago. I've brought these same patterns in, and they weren't just in intimate relationships. I've had these with family members, in business, with friendships, and the results were always the same. It's a similar dynamic of relating, and I had to see that this was my issue. So, one of my main issues was that I was always the one who was the leader in charge. So I was either the lead and this is how it goes and I'm setting the decree, the dictator, or I felt powerless and like a victim. In my second marriage, it was the latter part, feeling like the victim. Both of those are extremes. Neither of those are in balance, and they are often played out. So I knew I wanted like, what is moderate? What is balance? What is in the middle? And I started doing a lot of personal work, So I did weekly counseling for months. When I would go into counseling throughout my life, I would notice I'm in a place that I have a blind spot and I need help with this. And I would do weekly counseling for a minimum of 6 months. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it's what I really recommend. If there is a counselor that you trust, you want them to help you through this, because that is, and then I wouldn't need to go to counseling for years. I'd have several years in between where life was easy. And as long as I did my personal work, it was happening as I wanted it to. But if I would create a new relationship or a new external circumstance in my life that required tools that I've never used before and I had a blind spot, I would go into counseling to get help to learn those tools, those skills. So my personal work was not just the weekly counseling. It would be things like journaling, meditation, exercise, eating healthy, limiting my sugar or alcohol or drugs, finding my passion projects, things that excite me, that I love, that give me that high. That is the secret to life, all of that. So by the time I left my ex-husband, I felt healed and whole and balanced. And we didn't break up in a raging argument where the neighbors are all there at it again. It was very calm. I remember that day. I said, "Hun, can we take a walk?" We took the dogs for a walk in the park. I was clear. I was grounded. I wasn't even nervous or afraid. My heart was open. And I just basically shared my personal discoveries. I owned my part of the relationship where I didn't see clearly, where I wasn't secure in myself, where it was unconscious, and the behaviors I did towards him that were not kind or appropriate. And I even said he didn't deserve that, and I apologize. I wasn't strong at that point in my life, and I now see what I need, and what I'm needing is more time and space to continue my own personal love affair with myself, because what I saw was my lack of self-worth was a major reason for the conflict between us. So I didn't in any way expect him to come back and own his shit on that walk. I did not think, okay, I'm going to do this and he's going to share. Because again, remember what I said about expectation? I would have suffered. And I just wanted this to be about me sharing and being clear. It was very important for me to make these amends, for me to apologize, for me to feel aligned, like I'm going to be with me my whole life. So my behavior needs to be of a certain caliber, and I want to be held accountable by myself more than anyone else. He is welcome to do his own path as he chooses. So that day he actually listened quietly. He said to me he appreciated my apology, and he understood that I had to move out. Now, that was the most he could do. I had no expectations, as I said. I appreciated that he could listen and accept my apology. Again, that little quote in my head was his ego needed to feel right. Yes, she's apologizing for her craziness because he had nothing to do with the craziness, but that's fine. It wasn't about this. We've tried counseling, and our dynamic was never going to be where we both said, we both have something to work on. Because if we could both come from that place and we have a skilled therapist, we could have still been together. Do you see the difference? So, both people have to own their shit. Both people have to do their inner work. Now, and to this day, I do my work. So, many years later, the relationships I've cultivated in my current relationship is extremely satisfying. If I were to say, told some clients, write a manifest list of your needs and wants, and ideally what you would want from a partner. And I find that what I've created, what I've attracted in my life is more than I could have ever written. It is everything I've ever written and more. Let's put it that way. So I have maturity, I have supportiveness, I have, there's spaciousness. It's not restrictive in any way. There's no control going on. I feel very blessed. I could go on and on because I continue to do my work and people in my intimate life continue to do their work. So I have learned I am unconventional in an exclusively monogamous way. And I didn't know this about myself. I thought I was traditional, and I wasn't. So, what I've attracted to me is this unconventional monogamous partner. Often, our minds find conflict with new and different. We need to continue checking in with what are my needs? Are they getting met by myself? By my partner? Ask those questions. And noticing when our old belief systems are being triggered, we may think we want something to be a certain way, yet when we check in and we see our partners trying to do this, we're still upset. It could be because it's not at all what we really want. It's not what we like anymore. We've changed, and no one gave us the memo that we changed. Do you see why we got to continually check in on a regular basis? So, most people do not need to sacrifice and give up their needs to be in a partnership. I believe that if there is too much compromise and sacrifice from your personal needs, that it may not be the right relationship for you. Because a healthy relationship needs to have common values that are just understood. It's like being home, like when they speak and you're like, oh my God, like I could have just said that. And it's like your heart just sighs because it's this great. We don't even have to discuss it. You get it. And also common interests where play and hobby and passions and curiosities and all of that. And the stuff that doesn't match up, that's the growth part that you can share with each other, that you could bring a new world to this person if you are open-minded and they are open-minded. It makes it quite wonderful. So often in relationships, we play these parts that society has put on us, family has put on us, and personally, we have come to believe this is how it should be. That should be in quotes. Yet we find ourselves fighting and resisting what we're fighting for. So in counseling, I can hear from my client when the conflict is within them as they're speaking about their partner. And I gently offer that view that sounds like you're having a challenge with that within. How does that feel within yourself? So I try to get them from projecting on their partner that their partner is doing this. I want them to own it feels horrible inside themselves, that it has nothing to do with that person. They see it clearer because the person's exhibiting certain behaviors, but they haven't had it right. And it's also that unknown list that you're getting irritated and angry with your partner because they're doing something or not doing something. And then I say this is where communication skills are king, are very much of value. So it is imperative that we often do personal self-assessment and seeing where our needs have evolved to, because they change and shift. Hopefully we are not a stagnant person. Hopefully we continue to grow. Relationships do not have to be a constant sacrifice, as I said. So, once you find these common values and these common interests that you have, you still very much may need a skilled therapist, because no one has given us this manual of this is how you talk. So when we're reading the old scripts and we don't have the revised edition in our heads, do we have enough information? Do we have enough skills that we know how to communicate effectively and clearly to whoever is in front of us where they can actually hear us? So first, it's us knowing what we need, what we're feeling, how to say it in a non-confrontational way, in a kind way, and then communicate it so that they can hear it. So if I were to write a book, I've written a few, but I've not published yet, but it would be something like how to communicate clearly with the person, clearly and effectively with whomever is in front of you. So since I don't have the book yet, I am doing one-on-one counseling. I'll keep throwing that out there. I went from 100 an hour to 75 an hour during this world change, and I do a sliding scale if you can't afford that. So now, Mr. David Garrison, who is also a fabulous life coach, and he is doing a new passion project called Connected Celebrations, where he's doing Zoom events for birthdays and anniversaries and graduations and family reunions and any type of celebration, even old friends wanting to get together. And he'll talk to the person who's in charge first, and he'll have a one-on-one with you to see what you're looking for, and then he'll facilitate different, like, relating games that everyone could participate in honoring the main person, or in how you're relating together as a group in a more deeply satisfying way. And you can contact him, and he will set this up for you. He's quite reasonable. He's on Facebook also, so you could look up Connected Celebrations on Facebook. So now, back to us. He and I do these relating Zoom events on Facebook. We've already had 2 of them. And our page and our group is called Be a Relationship Architect on Facebook. You're welcome to join through that. Our next event is called Sweating the Small Stuff, Navigating Challenging Issues, Big and Small. And we will be sharing, and we'll be doing our one-on-one breakout rooms, and we'll be sharing collectively. And I get so much positive feedback from my participants. They just love it. They're like, how could I speak so openly to a stranger? And then I feel so connected to them, because that's our human nature. That's really who we are. So this next one is going to be Thursday, June 11th from 7 to 8:45 p.m. Central Time. So this is Texas time, and you need to register online for a link. We are open to donations, $10 to, if you can't afford it or you're not working, then just show up and email us and get the link. If you're not part of our Facebook group, you could email me, Samana, S-A-M-A-N-A, @spaluna.com. So now, I want to summarize this whole podcast. We are all unique in our needs and our wants. Knowing them, committing to be authentic, and learning to communicate how we would prefer to have our needs met by partners, by family, by friends, by coworkers. We have the freedom to choose any way of life that makes us happy. If we want to live alone and date for fun, if we want to find long-term relationships where we live separate, where we live together, we wish to have only platonic relationships, we want someone to share every day and most things we do together, or we're fine with meeting a few times a week or once a month. Anything goes. If you want a partner because you want to have kids, or you want someone that has kids because they're more mature and they're selfless and that's your belief, or you want someone that has no kids and no responsibilities because you want it to be all about you and them. Whatever it is you want, get clear on your needs. Do that exercise. Write down your needs and make it happen. Your inside world reflects your outside world. And as soon as you're clear on your needs, all of these choices are acceptable as long as they are your truth. The greatest conflict and heartbreak we have and feel is when we ignore our own needs and that inner voice. One day we wake up, we're alone, we're old, we're broken, and life is almost over. So let's change that now. Let's change that today. Do your work, get some counseling. You know how to contact me. Give me your feedback on the show. I love it. I love that my people on YouTube are writing me. Oh my goodness, I'm so appreciative of all of you. And get excited to have the happiest life with adventure and great connection. Blessings, stay safe, stay strong. Aloha. I will see you next week.